Man buys tank off eBay. Could not believe what he finds inside. One day, while Nick Mead was perusing the internet looking for another combat vehicle to add to his vast collection, he came across a Russian T-54 that was up for sale on eBay. Inspired by the type of tank, he came up with an unusual business idea and just had to have the Russian tank for his tank driving experience company, Tanks-alot. This specific model of tank, the Russian T-54, is part of a series of main battle tanks that were introduced by the Soviet Union in the years immediately following the Second World War. These tanks have been involved in numerous armed conflicts throughout history. A 23-year-old man named Joe Hughes posted the Soviet war tank on eBay for sale. He was happy to sell the tank, but ended up trading it with Mead. Hughes traded the tank in for 2 other armored vehicles, together worth about $42,000. Little did he know at the time that there was a fortune hidden inside the old tank he sold. A fortune that would be worth over 60 times what the bartered vehicles were worth. But along with that fortune came a dark secret. The origin of the Soviet tank Nick Mead bought on eBay is undoubtedly an interesting one. The tank, while Soviet in origin, was manufactured in China and had been used by the Iraqi army under the command of none other than the notorious Saddam Hussein. Tanks were used extensively during the Iran-Iraq War, which lasted a grueling 8 years and claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Shortly after the war, which ended in a stalemate, tanks were used during the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. During the invasion, Iraq looted the rich Persian Gulf nation of countless treasures, many of which were transported by tank. Shortly after receiving the tank, Mead and his team at Tanksalot quickly got to work. They worked to examine the tank's condition, started replacing parts that were damaged, and also restored parts that had eroded over time, all to get the tank back to pristine condition and fully operational. After putting in countless hours of work, inspecting and restoring, the team ran across something out of the ordinary. One of the tank's fuel canisters was not working, like it had been purposely disabled, but there was certainly something inside. The team could tell by the weight of the canister that something had been stored inside in secret, something that wasn't supposed to be easily found. After carefully removing the canister that was mounted on the tank, the team found something that they had never expected to find. Within the fuel tank, the Tanksalot team found a stockpile of ammunition. For now, they were in the clear. The ammunition would have to be reported and turned over to the proper authority for disposal. There was no telling how old the bullets were and whether they were even fit for use. Trying to use a corroded or faulted bullet in a gun could spell disaster, so the team took the cautious route. Just as they had discovered the ammunition, the team found yet another fuel tank that was not functional. This fuel tank, though, was much heavier than the last. Not heavy because it contained fuel or ammo, but something else altogether. The fuel canister was so heavy that it took 2 people with crowbars just to get it up high enough to reach inside. The underside of the canister had been broken open to get the mysterious items. Mead's colleague reached his hand inside, not knowing what to expect. After a few painstaking moments struggling with the weight of the item inside, he pulled out a brick that gleamed ever so slightly. The brush against his clothes revealed a shiny gold bullion. The Tanksalot team had struck gold. Excitement immediately filled the room, and the 2 colleagues that were previously struggling to hold the canister were suddenly filled with adrenaline-infused strength like they'd never known before. Mechanic Todd Chamberlain reached his hand back inside to see if he could find more gold bars. The entire Tanksalot team was overjoyed with the amazing find. Never in their wildest dreams had they thought they would find solid gold bars, a small fortune inside a tank that was purchased off eBay. But could they keep their newfound treasure? The question of whether they could keep the gold or not immediately came up. Nick Mead, the owner of the business, stepped in with a firm foot. He said that they would do everything according to the book and report the find to the proper authorities. Mead contacted the police to inform them of what the team had found hidden inside the tank, and they sent over police officers. The officers came to the farm and collected the gold bars, leaving Mead with only a receipt. That receipt is now Mead's only connection to the gold bars that are locked away tightly in a UK police station. According to the police, they're going to attempt to locate the rightful owners of the gold. But where did they come from? It's believed that the gold bars were stolen from Kuwait by Iraqi soldiers during the invasion of the small Persian Gulf nation in 1990. Iraq looted billions of dollars worth of valuable items from Kuwait during the occupation, only some of which were returned. After the war, Iraq returned 3,216 gold bars to Kuwait, each of which was individually weighed. The return was overseen by United Nations forces. Another possibility is that the gold was stolen from Saddam Hussein's personal stash. After the US invasion of Iraq, troops found almost $1 billion worth of hidden treasure, including gold. While the thought of keeping the gold might have momentarily come across the minds of Nick Meade's team, in the end it would have been a terrible idea. The gold Meade found in the Soviet tank is estimated to be worth about $2.4 million. Meade's entire company quickly learned about the find as word got out quite quickly. Had he kept the gold for himself, robbers would surely have done anything necessary to steal it, thereby endangering Meade, his family, and the Tanksalot employees. British police are currently trying to track down the rightful owners of the gold and get it back to them. But one question still remains. In the event that they're not able to find the rightful owners, who will get the gold? Meade has stated that he keeps the receipt he got from the police in a bank vault to be safe. At most, he says he might get a finder's fee. But he still keeps his fingers crossed that maybe, just maybe, he'll get to keep the 5 gold bullions he discovered inside the tank he bought. Nick Meade and his crew's extraordinary story fascinated many on social media. Among the commenters that were impressed by his fortunate discovery, some were shocked that he actually reported his newfound treasure to the police. Among those commenters, one had a more intricate plan. The commenter, a man named Jeremy Wetzel, suggested keeping quiet and selling the gold discreetly and for a discount for some quick, under-the-radar cash. Others suggested melting the gold into seemingly innocent jewelry. We're just hoping they aren't speaking from experience. Did Nick Meade do the right thing when he turned the gold and ammunition in? Well, it depends on who you ask. One of the many commenters, a man by the name of Nicholas Van Pelt, was for the finders keepers approach. A similar case happened in San Jose, California, when a man, identified only as John, bought a storage unit that ended up having a treasure of rare gold coins stashed inside. The lucky John ended up putting the coins up for auction, turning his $1,100 investment into a profit of $500,000. Wonder what would have happened if he turned it into the police. Though most commenters disapproved of Meade's decision to get the police involved in his discovery, one person actually thought it was a clever idea. Even if he did turn it in, it's not that unlikely that he'll get it back eventually. Actually, as commenter Nick Rappaport suggests, it's probably impossible to trace back the gold's original owner, considering they did dubiously stash it in a tank. And if the original owner isn't found, Nick Meade is probably next in line.